the good news of sports, but it's also the bittersweet part of sports, is you start at 0 every year, right? When you think about on the court, for example, we had won a championship. We had the shortest offseason in history going from the 2021 season to the 21-22 season. We didn't have much time to really think about the celebration. We had the parade. We were getting ready for the ring ceremony, opening night. And when you think about the fact that you start at 0, 0, 0 and 0, and then the business is starting all over again, that's what I love about sports, right? Because you have a chance to redefine and rethink how you do everything moving forward. It's been a crazy journey. I'll start out by saying I never intended to write a book. I was being interviewed for someone else's book last year, and within probably 2 weeks, I had received the same question twice. A mentee asked me, "How did you get here?" And people ask me about my journey all the time because it is unique and I've had a great career in sports. And I usually say the same things, right? I started here, I worked hard, I met the right people, and that was not satisfying this particular mentee. This mentee wanted to know the actual steps. When you got to the Florida Panthers, how did you handle this? And there was a specific way that she was asking this question of me where I felt unprepared to give the answer. Fast forward a few days after that, I'm sitting in my office with our head of business strategy and analytics. She asked the same question with the same intent with respect to what she wanted the answer to be. So I'm like, okay, I don't believe in coincidences. I do believe in signs. Fast forward maybe another couple of days, I'm being interviewed for this book. And I'm talking to the author. She's taking my story and then she stops recording. And she's, "You have a book in you." To oversee business operations for the Bucks simply means to me putting our team in the best possible position to be able to do that. I talk about this in the book. When I first got my first leadership job, especially in sports, I was like, oh, I'm going to lead exactly how I was led. I was leading my peers. I really need to focus on who is Raven as a leader. Who am I as a leader? Not who is the person that led me and what was their mantra. So I think the biggest thing I could say is if you're not evolving as a person, it's going to be hard to evolve as a leader. If I'm not listening to people who come in and say, "Why don't we try it this way?" then you're losing again. I hated English, grammar, all the things, right? So I was like, okay, let me sit with this. There's something here that I don't, again, don't believe in coincidences. So I did what I thought made sense as a type A. And I go back to all my journals. Following weekend, I start whiteboarding the journal and I start whiteboarding like the stories that I saw connections in. And by the end of that weekend, I had what we have now as cheat codes, but they were themes. And I'm like, okay, I can't succinctly say this as an answer, but if I put it in a book, how would I do it? So the book is written in short story form. Each story is individually its own, but they tie under the cheat codes, everything. I can say, even though I personally wrote the book, there's nothing that I could have done by myself to get to this moment where I'm about to publish. Whether it was my editors, my beta readers, my wife, who is a writer and editor herself, giving me very harsh criticism. In life, it is everything. In work, it is more than everything. I can't imagine doing anything I do every single day without the partnership of my teammates that I get to sit alongside with every single day. I really want the reader to come away, whether they look like me or love like me or are women in business or are people who are neither. I really want people to come away with the fact that people that you're leading alongside, people that you're leading every day, people that you work with every day are more than a checkbox. And I say this all the time. People will say that I got this role with the Bucks because I'm a diverse candidate, but I can guarantee you what I do in this seat will not be because I'm a checkbox. And I really want people to who, again, if they have experienced similar things to me, I want them to feel connected. I'm talking about owning your seat at the table, but that table could be your table. It could be someone else's table. I talk about that in the book. I'm very honest. I'm bluntly honest. I don't sugarcoat many things. And that's again, the reason why I wrote this book, because I felt like I was giving vague answers to some of the questions I was giving, and I wasn't being truthful on how hard it is to be yourself to get to these levels. So it's my long-winded way of me saying, you can pick my brain all day, but who do you want to be when you get to where you go? Have you figured that out? And as I'm sure you can imagine, there's usually some what we call couch moments in terms of therapy that comes from that. But I think there is a light bulb that goes off. And I honestly feel like a lot of the college graduates that I'm talking to and people entering the workspace these days are already starting to ask those questions of themselves, and they know exactly what they want out of their careers and the companies that they work for. I used to be like, I want to be here in 3 years, 5 years. And truthfully, I've gotten to this level in my career relatively quickly. And I'm super blessed to have been able to do that. So I'm still fairly young, which means that my second act, I'm being more intentional about how I want to serve, how I want to be remembered in service, which was something I wasn't really thinking about, quite frankly. Don't get me wrong, I definitely have goals I want to accomplish in life. But I really just want to make sure that, especially having written this book, that service is at the center of whatever it is I do, because I believe that is my purpose here on this earth.